That was If I Follow My Heart off the upcoming Nothing But Trouble album. A special dedication to Sunbox, Ludwig, Nick Barclay, Blue Evolution, Fred Kimmel, and Jimmy the Vagabond. Thanks for sharing with us your condolences. It means a lot to us. Now, I believe we have Derek Lawrence on the line now from London, England. Just to remind you, Derek is one of the world's greatest record producers, not only producing Deep Purple, but also Wishbone Ash, Hot Chocolate, founder of Retreat Records, producing Richie Blackmore, Angel, Legs Diamond, the actor Peter Sellers, UFO, Quiet Riot, Quartz, Fist, Chaz and Dave, Gordon Giltrap, Green Bullfrog, and Labi Siffrey. And that's just to name a few. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Hello.
Hello. Could you hear all that?
Yeah, that's fine. It happens to be true.
It's a real honor to have you on the show, Derek. We're just so sorry for the circumstances, and we're also sorry for your loss. We share it with you as well. And I was wondering, we haven't actually spoken to anybody who was able to attend the funeral. Can you tell us a little bit about the ceremony? And I know that Tony Edwards was giving the eulogy.
Yeah, it was really mainly family with his daughters and his grandchildren and his cousins, and it was business people, very few musicians, because most of them are out on tour somewhere in the world at the moment. The only one that basically arrived was John Loeb, but then again, he's not with Deep Purple anymore. So.
But I wanted to ask you, I wanted to take a walk down memory lane with you. How did you first meet John?
Through Richie Blackmore. I've been working with a record producer in England called Joe Meek, and Richie was in a band called The Outlaws. Uh-huh. And then I went up to Liverpool and found this singer-comedian, the guy called Freddie Starr. Uh-huh. And brought him down to Joe. And through that is a band called the Wild Boys that appeared. And Richie was in the Wild Boys with Chaz and Dave on bass. And so I started producing records for EMI and using like the guys I knew from the Joe Meek days. Right. And ended up with like a house band that played on everything. And then Richie had gone off to Germany with a band called Three Musketeers. Then he came back and he said, well, look, I've got these two blokes who know nothing about the business who are putting money into band. For God's sake, come and get involved and sort it out. so that's how I met John.
I see. And that relationship from the very beginning, did you hit it off?
No.
Really?
No. John and I argued. The 30-odd years we knew each other, we argued. But when we had a problem, we both know that we're 100% right. Uh-huh. And so we either clashed or agreed brilliantly. It was just one of those things, you know. But there was always a respect there underneath it all. But we would argue about anything. In later years, mainly about soccer. But
it sounds to me like you probably enjoyed that type of... Somebody was of your caliber, I suppose. You know, you maybe both agreed to disagree, but you enjoyed sparring, if you will.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it kept the brain going. But the great thing about either of us, we could stand up, be almost toe-to-toe fighting, and 20 minutes later we were sitting there laughing about someone else. We didn't hold grudges, which is, you know, the great thing is that if we had something to say, we said it, and that was it, gone, dead, finished.
That's something that came out in our interview with Tony Edwards as well. He said John had an amazing ability to, be angry, or you'd be fighting with him 1 minute, and then the next day he would smoothly create a situation where it was not necessarily forgotten, but it was not considered important that you were arguing about something. I mean, he was... Yeah,
it didn't get in the way of the relationship.
John seemed to have a certain style to him that only could come out of that era when the music business was first coming into play, and I think that also came out. How would you describe John's management style?
Abrasive.
But he was
confident.
He was also charming as well as he was abrasive, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. But that's the only way you could be. You know, if you were abrasive, the only way you could get out of it is by being charming. And there was that two sides to John, that he was abrasive, he was charming, he just welded the two together.
Did he ever refer to himself, ever call you and introduce himself as Giovanni Luigi?
No, he did everybody else. Never me.
So do you have any stories that you'll always remember, the type of story that you will tell over and over and over again to people just because it was unreal? I think John was famous for his stories of Richie Blackmore driving a fancy car through the doors of a 5-star hotel and all kinds of those wild stories. And we as musicians, we love those stories. We like to fantasize that, one day we're going to be that rich and famous and we'll have stories of our own to tell. But do you have any like that?
A story that I think sums up John is I bought him a book, and it was about managers that were being sued in the music business.
Managers being sued in the music business?
Being sued by the artists. It was a lot of famous managers, Don Arden, Simon Napier, Bell. It was all court cases that had gone on, Larry Page. And I gave him the book and I said, "Yeah, John, read that." And he read it, and I walked in the room the next morning. He said, "Here, I wasn't in it." And I said, "John, you haven't been sued." He said, "Oh no, Gillen's probably not got round to that yet." And that was John. Why would you be in it, John? Yeah, but all those famous people are. Yeah.
Now, what would you say was John's best quality of all the...
The man had one of the biggest hearts of anybody. You could phone John and say, "I'm in trouble, John," and he would help you.
You're right. We know that firsthand.
And that was John. John, as I say, had this abrasive exterior, but inside, he was a big teddy bear.
He certainly was. Mm-hmm. He's already very, very, very much just. I think we're still shaking our heads trying to believe that he's actually gone, because John was also the type of guy that never spoke of the end, never spoke of retirement. He certainly didn't act like he was retired. In fact, the day before he died, he had printed out the contracts between Mere Music International and Watanabe Publishing in Japan. He was still doing deals. And
that's John.
Yeah.
That was John.
Did he ever talk to you about retiring? Did he ever talk to you about perhaps one day packing it in?
No. I mean, what's the point of life if you're not doing anything?
Did he have any dreams that he hadn't reached yet? Because, I mean, here's a guy who along with you and Tony Edwards and a host of others, took Deep Purple to be the most successful rock band ever in the 70s and 80s. And still, I mean, if heavy rock music, then we owe it to people like you and John and Tony Edwards, because it's such a big influence. It'll never be forgotten. But was there anything unfulfilled for John? Because he's accomplished so much.
I honestly don't think so. I mean, John would be the happiest if Ozzy phoned in from Germany and said, "Look, I'm doing a concert with the Four Tenors. I'm sending a ticket. Come and see it." That he would love. That he would love. And I honestly don't think there was he sat there and said, see, when you've done it, the only thing that is in your mind is to do it again.
Is it really?
It's because I don't care who you are. When you make it big in something, you start thinking, well, is it me or is it other people? The people I'm working with. So then you want to do it maybe with other people, maybe on your own. It's just a confirmation that you are what you think you are.
Right.
I mean, with John, he did it with Purple with Tony, then he did it with Whitesnake on his own. And that was a very, very good ego thing.
Well, Derek, I'm so pleased that we caught you just before your meeting. We're really, really honored to have you on the show. We're going to have you on the show more often if you have the time. I don't know.
I'm always here.
Oh, great. Because, the radio show is actually is primarily for independent artists who have really, really great recordings and want to get it heard on the radio. And we run a little competition for them to get track of the week. We could always use some expertise on the panel to help us judge those songs to pick a winner every week. So it'd be fantastic to have you on the show. And it's a really, really great source for us. And again, I want to say I'm so sorry for the loss of John.